Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm an opera singer, former opera singer anyway. I'm still an opera singer, I always will be, and it doesn't matter if I'm actively performing or not. Once an opera singer, always an opera singer. Anyway, that's a whole other rant. Welcome to my channel. This is Jessica Center Stage, and today I want to talk about the opera industry, my experiences, and why I left. Took a little bit of a hiatus. I may go back at some point, but I don't know when. So I started voice lessons when I was about 12 years old. Came from a musical family and eventually took it all the way up to getting a master's degree in music and vocal performance. I graduated in 2017, a little bit ago now. I haven't been on a stage live since February of 2020. That was my last live performance. We all know what happened shortly after that, and that is the main reason why I first took a break. But shortly after that, a bunch of other life things happened, and I've been taking care of a lot of side quests, like getting a divorce, coming out as a lesbian, and just kind of rebuilding my own life separate from my ex, and that's another video. Today we're talking about opera, but being a lesbian does play a part, and that is because there's a lot of misogyny, a lot of patriarchy, a lot of compulsory heterosexuality, heteronormativity in the opera world. When I was studying opera, I feel that I was not encouraged or taught to be an autonomous artist. I was taught to look up to the experts in the field, my teachers, people with authority, and do what they say and don't deviate. I was taught this is your category that you fit in, and if you try to do anything outside of that, it's very taboo and it could ruin your career. It could ruin your voice forever. Reputation was a huge thing because it's such a small world. Everybody knows everybody. People talk, blah, 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 blah. So I felt that I had to do what I was told. And there came a point where my voice was continuing to grow after grad school. And I felt like the repertoire I was singing at the time was not really the best fit for me anymore. I had been singing lyric coloratura, soprano, verging into dramatic coloratura. I was singing Queen of the Night, Cleopatra from Giulio Cesare, which I still love and adore. I started singing Lucia from Lucia di Lammermoor, that kind of stuff, which I still think I fit and I can sing. But at the time, I wanted to work on some other things. I had been singing all this high repertoire. I came factory preset when I was born. Okay, I had these high notes, these naturally amazing high notes that anytime a voice teacher would hear it, they would just fixate on that because they had never heard anyone who could sing as high as me. And while it was fun and exciting to be able to elicit such a response from professionals in the industry, they would just be completely blown away by that. I wish they had been more curious about the rest of my voice looking back, because not to toot my own horn, but the rest of my voice is pretty awesome too. And I have done a lot of self-exploration with it over the years and trained myself, basically. So yeah, there was a time soon after grad school where I wanted to sing some other things, but I felt like I couldn't. And I was so terrified of the opinions of my former teachers, what they would think, what they would say. And now that I've been so far removed from it for so long, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't have contact with any of them anymore. And I think I'm grown up enough now to where I can do what I want. But this was almost 10 years ago. I was still in my mid-20s, mid to early 20s, and still just figuring myself out. And as someone who at the time was also struggling with my sexual orientation, I feel like that played a part in all of this as well. Because most leading lady roles, they have the leading love interest, and there's heteronormative stories. And I couldn't verbalize this at the time, but now I know that those kinds of stories didn't really resonate with me. Didn't feel comfortable. It was extremely uncomfortable having to do these scenes and kiss boys on stage. But that was just part of it. Sorry, my dog is very vocal as well. On top of that, a lot of directors and professionals in the industry are toxic. There's a lot of straight white old men at the audition panels. When you go to audition, it's like a table of straight white men judging you, evaluating you. That didn't feel safe to me, but that was just how it was. And I felt so insecure about myself and my voice. I'm talking. As I was saying, I felt so insecure about myself and unable to make my own decisions about my artistic expression that I just did everything I could to fit what I thought I was supposed to appeal to as many directors as possible. And in doing so, I realized I made myself extremely forgettable and boring in the process. And if I had just embraced what made me unique, embraced my sexual orientation, and just like had some kind of a genuine personality, that could have set me apart and I could have maybe been more successful. But like I said, I didn't know who I was at the time. I was still figuring things out, and I still cared way too much about everyone else's opinion. I thought I needed permission and validation from a teacher to sing what I wanted to sing. I couldn't trust my own voice to guide me. I experimented with stuff that a lot of people would probably say, you shouldn't sing that, you're going to destroy your voice. But it felt good to sing. And I sounded good. So there was a lot of conflicting thoughts and feelings going on. So overall, I just felt like I was trying to fit into a box that I just didn't fit into. And there were several other artists who didn't do that. And I always admired them for setting themselves apart. I always thought they're so confident, they know who they are, they must just be extroverted, and I'm just an introvert, and so I'm just not like that. But now I see that's not all there is to it. So over the past 6 years of not performing, of starting my life over from scratch, getting divorced, all kinds of things, I have also been practicing singing on my own. I've taught myself how to belt and sing other styles, and dabbled back into opera again. I still don't know what fach I am or what type of roles I would want to sing, because I'm now at a point where I love the music, but I don't love the idea of performing roles that are heteronormative. I mean, if I'm getting paid a lot of money, sure. But as an artist, I feel like my queer identity is so important and ingrained. I feel motivated to create my own platform, hence why I'm here, and just be able to sing what I want to sing. And I've been doing that on TikTok. You should go follow me. But yeah, that's kind of the overall feeling I have towards the opera world. And like I said, I love the music. I do miss collaborating with other musicians, with other singers, with pianists. There's nothing that compares to the feeling of being on stage singing with a full orchestra. I do miss that. I don't miss all the nonsense that comes with it behind the scenes, all the toxicity, all the misogyny. There needs to be a change. If I had $1 million, I would start my own opera company that only hired queer and neurodivergent and non-white artists. If you're white, you have to be queer or neurodivergent. And I would want to tell our stories that we relate to. Who knows, maybe if my YouTube channel blows up, then that could be a future passion project. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you can relate to anything that I've talked about in this video, please, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below, tell us your stories. And if you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, share all of that stuff. And I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!